a sprawling archipelago of over 17,000 islands, a melting pot of cultures, and a young, vibrant population. Now, add to this mix a government that's rolling up its sleeves, ready to catapult the nation into an economic powerhouse. This is the unfolding economic saga of Indonesia, a country that's quietly but steadily rewriting its destiny. Indonesia's economic potential compared to India and China. When we talk about booming economies in Asia, India and China usually steal the spotlight, but let's not overlook Indonesia. With a GDP of $1 trillion, it ranks as the 16th largest economy in the world. In comparison, India's GDP stands at $2.7 trillion, ranking 7th globally. However, when it comes to GDP per capita, Indonesia ranks 122nd, while India lags behind at 150th. Both countries have similar income tax rates, with Indonesia at 30% and India at 30.9%. Corporate taxes are also comparable, with Indonesia at 25% and India at 32.4%. But where Indonesia shines is in its Economic Freedom Index, scoring 67.2 compared to India's 56.5. This shows that Indonesia offers a more liberal economic environment, which is conducive for business and investment. So, why is Indonesia's economy blowing up the charts? It's not just about numbers, it's about potential. Economic foundations. Indonesia is a treasure trove of natural resources. From Sumatra to Kalimantan, the country is a major player in the extraction of fossil fuels, including petroleum, natural gas, and coal. These aren't just any resources, they're the backbone of Indonesia's economy, accounting for a significant chunk of the GDP. Indonesia is also a heavyweight in mineral resources. Ever heard of tin from Bangka or bauxite from Kalimantan? Yep, that's Indonesia for you. But Indonesia isn't just sitting on its resources, it's putting them to good use. The country has leveraged its oil exports as a catalyst for growth. But it's not stopping there. Indonesia is investing heavily in infrastructure projects, from roads to ports, to boost its economic activities. Now, these steps wouldn't be possible without the workforce. And guess what? Indonesia is young, really young. With a median age of around 30, the country has a massive pool of young, low-cost labor. This demographic advantage gives Indonesia an edge in labor-intensive industries, from manufacturing to services. But wait, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. While the economic growth story is compelling, Indonesia faces its own set of challenges that could potentially slow down its progress. Challenges and obstacles in Indonesia's economy. Let's talk about competition, shall we? Indonesia is in a tight race with countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh when it comes to low-cost manufacturing. These countries have been stepping up their game, attracting global companies with their lower labor costs and business-friendly policies. So, what does this mean for Indonesia? Well, it's a wake-up call. The country needs to up its ante to stay in the game. How? By investing in technology and automation, for starters. This will not only increase efficiency, but also add value to the products. But it's not just about machines and tech, it's also about creating a conducive environment for businesses. Simplifying regulations, offering tax incentives, and ensuring a stable political climate are some of the ways Indonesia can edge out its competitors. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of corruption. It's like a stubborn stain that just won't go away, affecting both local and foreign investments. You see, corruption creates an uneven playing field. It discourages honest businesses and promotes a culture of shortcuts and backdoor deals. This is bad news for an economy that's trying to grow and attract foreign investments. So what's the solution? Transparency and accountability are key. Strengthening anti-corruption bodies and implementing stricter laws can go a long way. Public awareness is also crucial. The more people know about the ill effects of corruption, the less likely they are to engage in it. Education, or lack thereof, is another stumbling block. A growing economy needs skilled workers, and that's where the education system comes in, or should come in. Unfortunately, Indonesia's education system is lagging. Outdated curricula, inadequate facilities, and poorly trained teachers are just some of the issues. This is not just a problem for today, but a disaster in the making for the future. An unskilled workforce is not able to meet the demands of a growing economy. So, It's high time for an overhaul. Modernizing curricula, investing in teacher training, and focusing on STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, education are some steps in the right direction. Last but not least, let's talk about geography. Indonesia is a sprawling archipelago with diverse landscapes and cultures. Sounds exotic, right? But it's a logistical nightmare for businesses. Transporting goods from one island to another is both time-consuming and costly. Then there's the issue of uneven development. While cities like Jakarta and Bali are booming, other regions are struggling to catch up. This creates social and economic imbalances, which are not good for long-term growth. Lastly, the country is facing a serious issue. Its cities, including the capital, are actually sinking into the ground. This alarming situation is due to the excessive removal of groundwater, causing the land to sink and making Jakarta one of the world's fastest sinking cities. So what can be done? Well, Indonesia isn't sitting idle in the face of these challenges. The government is taking proactive steps to not only address these issues, but also to propel the nation into a new era of prosperity. Current initiatives. First, let's talk about something that's making headlines: the relocation of Indonesia's capital. The city is grappling with issues like overpopulation, pollution, and even land subsidence. So, the government decided to take a bold step and move the capital to a place called New Sinatra in East Kalimantan on the island of Borneo. Now, you might be wondering, what's in it for the economy? The answer is a lot. The move is expected to cost around $33 billion, and guess what? That's going to cause a ripple effect in the economy. We're talking about new jobs, new businesses, and a whole new city that needs to be built from scratch. While the critics argue that the move could lead to deforestation and endanger the local wildlife of Borneo, the government assures that only 19% of the new capital land will be used for government buildings, while the rest will be preserved as is. Some sources add that the government is also planning to involve local communities in the development process, which could be a win-win for everyone. Moving on to another chapter in Indonesia's economic story: new projects. The government is diving into the digital world and aiming to turn Indonesia into a tech hub by 2024. Better internet in remote areas, support for local tech startups, you name it, they're doing it. The digital sector is set to become a major player in Indonesia's economic game. Connectivity is another focus. Indonesia is a massive archipelago, and getting from one island to another can be a hassle. The government is on it, with big plans for new roads, ports, and airports. Better infrastructure means easier lives for the locals and a boost for trade and tourism. Speaking of the environment, Indonesia is going green. The government wants 23% of the country's energy to come from renewable sources by 2025. Solar farms, wind turbines, and hydro plants are all in the works. It's not just good news for the planet, it's also expected to create jobs and attract clean tech investments. Tourism is also getting a revamp. Bali is great, but Indonesia has more to offer. The government has identified 10 new Balis, like Lake Toba and Komodo Island, to develop and promote. The idea is to make tourism a big-time contributor to the economy. Healthcare and education aren't left behind either. New hospitals and schools are being built, especially in remote areas. Better healthcare means a healthier population, and a solid education system is key for economic growth. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and sharing so we can keep bringing more content like this. See you next time.